Hello everyone, this is Days, and it's June 14th, and we already have a bunch of new information from various sources providing us with a set of new information and corrections to the previous leaks. So let's get right into it. Links will be in the description. So in my previous video, I did say that there will be multiplayer, and as it turns out, there won't be neither multiplayer nor co-op, which I know is a disappointment for many considering how popular those two features were in the Souls titles. Quite the bold move by FromSoft. It seems they really are trying to make something conceptually different from their previous titles. I mean, you can't blame them for that. But no doubt, this will naturally shorten the game's lifespan. But this could mean that on paper, this will be an extremely fulfilling single-player experience, now that they don't have to worry about balancing the game with PvP in mind, or even adjusting the difficulty to balance the game for co-op. This will actually give FromSoft a chance to provide a pure single-player experience without the interference of other players, which isn't a bad thing at all. I know a lot of people aren't very happy with that, but a single-player game is a single-player game. That's the genre. I also stated that there will be character creation in my previous video, and I used the early leaks of the game as a source, trusting that this also might be true, considering the accuracy of the leaks. But yeah, the leaks got everything right except for the online and the character creation part. So yeah, the game will have a fixed protagonist. Should have figured that out from the reveal trailer, since they showed the character's face, which they normally don't do in Souls titles. The story is not linear, and it does revolve around the character. But beyond that, nothing has changed from the way they told stories in their previous titles. I guess we can be sure that a chunk of the story will be up to interpretation, as that's how Miyazaki likes to tell his stories. According to FromSoft's Yasuhiro Kitao, he described the game as an action-adventure and not an RPG. There won't be weapons or stats to level up, and no armor either, except for gadgets and equipment to collect and equip. But there is a progression system with upgrades and abilities. And so to make up for that, the gameplay is designed so that a combination of tools and movesets is the optimal way of approaching a situation in the game, rather than the good old wait for an enemy to do something to block and attack. So we're encouraged to have a different approach to the gameplay, so we're inclined to use an arsenal of items and combos in order to maximize the efficiency of the encounters. So the game seems to be balanced in that manner, where it wants you to use everything you have at hand to get the most out of it. No more R1ing your way through the game. Sounds good to me. So far, my disappointment for not having multiplayer is slowly being rectified, I'll say. Next up, your main hand weapon, which is the regular katana, will always be there, unchanged. However, judging from the latest leaks, the moveset will change depending on your offhand item, which involves the prosthetic, which will change the way you play with every prosthetic specific item you equip, such as the axe shown in the trailer, which the player used to break the guard of a shielded enemy. Another shuriken-based prosthetic gives you a different moveset that suits that style, which involves some kind of a quick dash follow-up, the ninja firecracker, and other variations. Though I'm not sure how many different items can be equipped at the same time. Maybe we'll have the option to equip more than an ability to the prosthetic, which can open up a door for unique builds to experiment with and different combinations of prosthetic items. The red kanji that appears in the trailer at certain moments is a hint or visual aid which tells the player that a special attack is coming. There's a bunch of different properties to special attacks. Some will be in the form of sweep attacks, which knock down and will require the player to jump in order to dodge. Yes, there is a jump button if you haven't noticed already. Other special attacks will have you block them or dodge away, or whatever other properties special attacks could have, and the various ways you could get around them. But the kanji won't tell you which attack is coming, of course. It's simply there to indicate danger. You'll have to read the animations yourself. According to the PC Gamer article, the game will have light stealth mechanics, such as instant fatal stealth kills, pressing up against walls, hanging off of ledges, and crouching in grass to stay hidden, with the option to finish an opponent quickly if they wander too close. Now, one of the coolest changes for me is the combat system, which revolves around quote-unquote posture, in that when you attack, an enemy can easily block your attack, but will lose posture every time. And when lowered enough, they'll be open for a critical finish. but the same goes for the player character. Unless you block perfectly, which is the equivalent of parrying from Dark Souls, you won't lose any posture, but with every perfect block, you'll actually lower the enemy's posture instead. An offensive strategy by using perfect defense. That sure is a cool take on combat. So the game will train you to play with proper timing and placing in mind, without worrying about a stamina bar. I think this is the turning point where the game differentiates itself completely from the Souls series, having the game force you to pay attention to enemy attacks and carefully place your blows, perfect blocks, and counterattacks. Now, according to the Reddit post, which translated an interview with Miyazaki-san, game development and publishing in Japan will be handled by FromSoft, with Activision handling all other regions. Activision gave a lot of advice regarding many things, including game development, but to be clear, game development and final decisions were always in FromSoft's hands to begin with, according to Miyazaki. There are three main gameplay features, one of which is the grappling hook, that lets you move vertically, which by the way, platforms will have a gray mark where you could do the grappling, and it will become green when it's in the correct range. Second, there's the sword play, the offense and defense, the one-hit kills of ninsatsu. Ninsatsu are the instant kills that come out of the stealth position. And third is quote-unquote killing cleverly. The game allows for different approaches to killing, from making a ninja-like opening by using the hook to take the high ground, emphasizing that killing cleverly is an important theme. Miyazaki also stated that in this game, when you're met with an enemy, you won't be immediately plunged into battle. The levels are designed to let the player observe and think about how to take them on, and you can also listen in on enemies who aren't in combat mode. Miyazaki reiterates the fact that this game is an action-adventure, and the protagonist's growth is tied to a different method from RPGs. The map design is interconnected seamlessly as with Dark Souls 1, with the option of choosing different routes to progress through the game rather than a set route. There's also hidden passages and shortcuts. And finally, the difficulty is scaled depending on player's skill, meaning it depends on the player's approach and methodology as well as patience. FromSoft's games are not difficult for the sake of difficulty, but they require you to think before you make your moves. I mentioned the most noteworthy things from the sources. I'll leave links in the description if you want to take a look at every single thing. I should reiterate that while it can't be helped but compare the game with Dark Souls, you shouldn't approach the game with that mindset, or else you'll be setting yourself up for disappointment. Sekiro clearly borrows some things from the Souls series, but that's just FromSoft's touch on things. FromSoft has been pushing the game as something completely different, and everything we've been told so far proves just that. They're trying to divert from the Souls formula, and it's completely understandable. In fact, I see it as an important step for FromSoft to take a break from Souls and work on something new, so they're all freshened up by the time they make the next Souls game, be it a Dark Souls reboot or Bloodborne 2. And they'll have learned lessons from the making of their new IPs, and they will come up with new innovations that will revolutionize the Souls series once again and make it feel fresh again. It's a necessary step for the sake of the next Souls games. You can think of it that way if you please. Thank you for watching, and until next time.
Looks like death is not your fate just yet.